Hi everyone, it's Erin from Sweets by Skip. Today I'm going to be making my mom's cold oven pound cake, and I hope y'all want to make it along with me. Here we go!
The first step is to cream together 3/4 of a pound of butter with 3 cups of white sugar, as you see I'm doing here. You're going to use the paddle attachment in your stand mixer to do this. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can also use a hand beater or a wooden spoon as it was classically done, but it takes much longer and a lot more effort. In the stand mixer, you'll want to paddle your butter for roughly 5 minutes until it's very light and creamy. After your butter is a nice light color, as you can see here, I turn it to high speed for the last 30 seconds. Then I'll turn off the mixer, scrape down the bowl, just to make sure that there's no sugar or butter left on the bottom, as you see that I'm doing here. Once the bowl is nice and scraped, making sure that every bit is back in the bowl, you'll start the mixer again and prepare to add your eggs and vanilla. It's going to be 5 large eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla in this recipe. I don't add all of the eggs at once to prevent the butter mixture from curdling and preventing a rise on your cake. So here you can see that I have the mixer on high, and then I'm going to drop the speed just a little bit when I'm ready to add my eggs so that they don't splatter all over the kitchen. After the first addition of eggs, allow your mixer to keep creaming for just a moment and then turn it off and scrape down the bowl just to ensure even mixing. After the bowl is completely scraped and you get all the way down to the bottom, you can turn it back on and add the remainder of your eggs. After you can tell that your eggs have been completely incorporated into your butter and sugar mixture, you're going to scrape down the bowl again for good measure. Then you're going to prepare to add the remaining ingredients. In my deli cups there, you'll see that I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour and I have 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm mixing those together just so that they mix evenly into my batter. You're going to add your flour in 3 separate additions, alternating with your milk. This makes your batter a little bit more stable as you're mixing the flour a little bit more than you would if you were adding it all at once. So here you can see the first addition is about 1/3 of the flour and salt mixture. Then I'm going to pour in about half of the milk and allow it to come together before scraping down the bowl once again. You'll notice that unlike most cake recipes, this one does not have any leavener in it besides the eggs. This creates the traditional dense but moist texture of pound cake.
All right, everyone, so your batter is mixed. This is what she looks like. Very stiff, but soft. I'm going to be baking in a tube pan today that I've greased very heavily. After you're finished mixing your pound cake, it's going to go in this giant tube pan. If you don't have a pan that's this big, you can either divide it up into loaves, or you can put it into a smaller tube pan and use the extra batter to make muffins or cupcakes or whatever you like. I like to bake it in this giant tube pan for the drama. It does take a lot longer to bake in this, but it's worth it. Now I'm going to put it into a cold oven. My oven is not preheated. I'm going to turn the oven to 325 degrees after I put my pan in. Once the pan is in the oven, I'll start my timer for 1 hour. Now that my cake pan is in the oven, I've set my timer for 1 hour. The normal bake time for this cake is an hour and a half, but I like to check it a little early in case my oven has a hot flash and decides to incinerate the bottom. The way you tell when your cake is done is you're going to use a thermometer or a cake tester to insert it into the middle of your pan. If the tester comes out clean, then your cake is ready to go. Now we're going to wait. While your cake is in the oven, take it easy. If you walk around too hard while the cake is baking, it's going to fall, and it'll create what my granddaddy used to call sad cake, which he liked more than the properly baked cake, but that's not how it is nowadays. I prefer my cake to have a proper rise and be nice and fluffy instead of dense. So that means that if you walk around like a herd of elephants, like my mom always used to say, then your cake's going to be sad. So now we just wait. Just sit down for an hour and a half. So I checked my cake in an hour, and it wasn't ready, which is great news, because it means my oven is baking at the temperature at which I set it. So my timer has about 10 minutes left. So what I've done is I've whipped up a little glaze to put on this pound cake. The glaze is totally optional, but I highly recommend it, because if you could have glaze, why would you not have glaze? So what I've made is a little lemon and vanilla glaze that I'm going to put onto the cake while it's hot. So what I've done is I've whisked 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and 2 cups of powdered sugar. When you're making your glaze, just make sure that you sift your powdered sugar so that it's not chunky on the cake, because nothing looks worse than that. So I am still waiting to pull my cake out, but having the glaze ready so you can glaze it while it's hot will give you a nice kind of donut sugar texture on the outside, which everybody loves. Here she is. My timer just went off. This is our hour and a half baked cold oven pound cake. I'm going to give it a quick test just to make sure it's all good, but I have a feeling she's ready. Clean as a whistle. So we're going to wait 20 minutes, dump her out of the pan, and then we're going to go forward with the glazing. So I let my cake cool for 20 minutes, and then I dumped it out of the pan off camera, because it takes a braver woman than I am to dump anything out of a pan on camera. So what I did was I put it onto a cookie sheet with a cooling rack on it. So that way I could kind of make a mess when I glazed it. And I just did all the glaze. It seems like a lot, but it's going to kind of soak in and give it like a nice, sweet, crunchy texture on the outside. So now all I have to do is wait for my cake to cool, and then I'm going to cut it into slices and eat it. If you have an issue with your cake sticking, it happens a lot. Just next time you make it, make sure that you spray the bottom of your pan better, or you can spray your pan and add a little bit of flour, a dusting of flour. I always put a scoop in, kind of shake it around, and then dump it out into the trash can, and that way it will ensure it won't stick. But it does leave kind of a sheen on the outside that I don't particularly love the look of. However, if it doesn't bother you, then put the flour in, and it'll never stick. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy your cold oven pound cake, and that you have a great day.